Welcome back to another episode of the Clear Skin Podcast. I am your host, Delia Taylor, and I'm back with Amelia and Nikki from Clear Skin Solutions. And today we have another exciting topic to discuss. And we want to share with you, because we know that this is something on your mind, and we want to share with you the best anti-aging products on the market, or anti-aging product, I should say. So our podcast is titled The Best Anti-Aging Product on the Market. And so I know that sounds like a lofty claim, these anti-aging claims, but today we really want to help you reveal the truth when it comes to that magic bullet. We know that you're always on the lookout for that, magic bullet to turn back the clock, to keep your skin youthful and vibrant. But we want to talk about what that looks like, and again, share what the number one anti-aging product is. So let's dive right in. Hi, ladies. How are you doing today?
Yeah, hi, Delia. Thank you for having us with you.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm super excited because this is going to be an interesting podcast, because I feel like it's going to kind of change everything that we thought when it comes to protecting our skin and anti-aging. And so when it comes to anti-aging, we find that a lot of you are worrying about the wrong thing. So we really want to get this straight. So we want to talk about the sun. We want to talk about the sun specifically, because we know that you get hung up on, in the news and little sound bites without really getting the full picture of how SPF can be your biggest skin supporter. So ladies, can we talk a little bit about, the kind of misconception of SPF, a lot of things that people are worrying about when it comes to SPF. Specifically, we're talking about chemicals in product and ingredients.
Can I start, or would you like to?
I would love for you to.
Okay, so if you're going to think of the best anti-aging on the market, it's going to be sunscreen. So having a good quality SPF 100% all of the time when you're in the sun. 90% of the aging that you're having occur is going to be from the sun and UV damage. So if you think of the sun as light particles, and those UV light particles are free radicals that cause cellular damage and potentially cancer. And when a free radical affects a cell, it not only affects the cells around it, but future generations of that cell. So we start compromising those cells, and the risk of developing melanoma is increased. And even more so if you've had more than 3 to 5 sunburns in your lifetime, or you've been in a sunbed under the age of 30, that risk of melanoma or different types of skin cancer goes up by 75%. That's a lot.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's a lot. There's one thing that is really important. This that you just talked about is those sunburns are usually in your childhood, in your teen years, and that affects how you age and the health of your skin, correct?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Now,
and something to remember. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say that if there's a sunscreen that's on the market, if there's a sunscreen that's on the shelves, it's going to be approved by the FDA. So any sunscreen that's available to anybody right now on the shelves is proven to be more safe than sun exposure or tanning beds.
So what are some of these, we have these little facts about, chemicals in SPF, and people are wanting to stay away from, those chemical SPFs and going for more organic. So can we talk a little bit about what that means? We know that everything, even natural, has chemicals, or it's not safe, right? So we're kind of shooting ourselves in the foot as far as being able to protect our skin from anti-aging, because we're so worried about what might be in the ingredients that we're putting on our skin, right?
Like I was just saying about the products that are on the market right now, in the US, everything has to be FDA approved. So we already know that the sunscreen that you're using are more safe than the sun and the sun exposure that we're receiving. On the other end of that, a lot of the terminology that's been put around sunscreens it's come with this natural movement that we've kind of entered into, where everybody's wants everything to be natural. But when it comes to most things on the market, you have a human that's coming into it and scientifically evolving these things so that we can place them on our skin. So nothing's really natural. And when it comes to sunscreens, and you hear the words like organic and inorganic, organic only means that it is carbon-based, it has carbon. In the sunscreen world, organic doesn't mean what it means in the other worlds that we live in when you're thinking of wanting to go green or having things be natural. The safest thing to do is to wear a sunscreen to keep you safe from the sun.
And what does full spectrum do? It absolutely deflects the sun.
My favorite thing and what I think is the coolest about sunscreen is how it reacts. And zinc and titanium dioxide sunscreens are antibacterial and have cooling effects on the skin. They sit on top of the skin and reflect the sun off of you. There's other sunscreens that work in different ways where they allow the sun to kind of absorb and then your body push it out. My favorite is going to be a zinc or titanium dioxide, which are both full spectrum sunscreens, but they don't let those free radicals penetrate into your skin. They reflect it. And I just think that's so cool.
Yeah, very cool. And a lot of people are going for that, non-chemical sunscreen, mineral sunscreen, right? And those are the ones that reflect as opposed to absorbing the UV rays. Now, I want to talk a little bit about when you do get a sunburn. We all know what a sunburn is, but what's the response from the skin and the damage that's happening to the skin from that response from a sunburn?
Before Amelia jumps on that answer, I'd like to back up just a tiny bit because it's really important to understand that even if you don't get cancer, even if cancer is not in your family DNA in the history, even if you don't get it, what we end up seeing is people that have severe glycation, and they spend a lot of money reversing the damage that they have made from their teens and on.
Now,
so
what's glycation?
Glycation, a lot of times people, it'll not just look like wrinkles, it'll look like cross patterns. So glycation, they have found, is from crisscross patterns. They have found it comes from sugar and from the sun. And so it's a really difficult wrinkle to reverse. And when we get them in the office, that's when it's a little bit harder to figure out how we can start reversing that. The other part is that so many people come in and they say, I need to have enough sun. I need some vitamin D. And there's a couple of things that are really important to remember. Even Amelia and I, as specialists that wear sunscreen every single day and reapply it when needed, even us with that application, we're still not covering up enough to block vitamin D. It's not going to happen. Right. And the other thing that I love that Amelia talks about vitamin D is it's
extra exposure to the sun. Unprotected sun exposure for vitamin D production is not necessary.
Yeah.
The sun offers a lot of great benefits. It helps with our circadian rhythm, and I'm not a sun hater. I love the sun. I enjoy being in the sun. I love being outside, but a few minutes outside in the early morning or late afternoon in the shade is enough. Yeah. The vitamin D production is actually from the sun in your eye lines, so you don't need to be in direct unprotected sunlight. And they've actually found that too much UV exposure can have the opposite effect on vitamin D. So you're actually going to end up going the opposite way. And another thing that they found is vitamin D, the best place to get vitamin D is in your food, or a supplement. It's actually not the sun.
Yeah.
Well, and just kind of going back to the food piece, not necessarily about vitamin D, but it's interesting that, a lot of times people shy away from SPF because of those chemicals that they think are, damaging. But we have so many chemicals in everything that we ingest in our daily lives, right? So it's kind of one of those things where it's like you're kind of avoiding the SPF because you think that it's going to cause some damage, but really it's doing quite the opposite, right? You're actually causing more damage and more of an inflammatory reaction into the skin. And like Amelia, you said, you don't need that much vitamin D from the sun in order to get the dose that you need, right?
Yeah, it's scientifically proven that the sun is carcinogenic.
Yeah.
But we also see it every day. We get to see people that have sun damage, and that that vitamin D has not protected them.
Right. Right. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the role of sunscreen as far as like the SPF factor go. We want to talk about, the importance of SPF and what is the minimum amount recommended in order to protect your skin properly.
SPF 30.
SPF 30, anything below SPF
30.
is,
Yeah, I'm going to tell you that, and I've been telling clients this for a really long time. When you wear makeup that has sunscreen in it, it was an afterthought. It's not even protected by the FDA. Like it literally just is not enough. And you're not going to apply enough for that coverage that you need.
so SPF in makeup is not considered a true form of sun protection.
I'm like, it's an afterthought. Now our tinted or lightly tinted sunscreen, people call that their lotion all the time, and it tickles me because they're putting 45 on every day and they're calling it lotion. That's what I want. I want a sunscreen that people will wear, that will automatically want to put on their face every single morning. And that's what that sunscreen allows us, is people to put it on automatically in the morning with or without the makeup.
Well, and we totally get it. We understand, like I've used lots of SPF over the years where it just feels greasy, it is messy reapplying. Especially if you're not necessarily out in the sun, having like a sun day. But let's say you're just on your way to work or whatnot, and you know that you're going to go out for lunch maybe, and you're going to have sun exposure. A lot of us aren't actually reapplying sunscreen over top of our makeup, right? So it's really important that to use sunscreen, but we want to make sure that the sunscreen that you are using, you're gonna wear it, right? So there are a lot of sunscreens out there that are going to be messy and irritating for your skin, but we have found, in our sunscreens, like Nikki just said, they think that it's their lotion, so it actually feels good going on, and you're getting that.
Exactly. And it doesn't have irritants, so they're happy to reapply it when they're in the sun. Now, I'm one of those that doesn't wear foundation very often. I wear sunscreen every morning.
Yeah, all I wear is my tinted.
You didn't believe that you would live this life, did you?
Nikki, I thought that I had to have my tinted moisturizer, and that was enough for me. And then meeting you guys, nope, tinted moisturizer is not an SPF. I needed an actual SPF, and I love the way that it feels. So it doesn't actually feel any different than putting on my tinted moisturizer. So that's a good thing, because again, like if it's going to be messy or irritating, or doesn't feel right, or doesn't feel like it sits right on the skin, then it's going to be a deterrent to use it, right? So, all right. So now we kind of shared what the best anti-aging product is on the market, which is SPF. So I know that's probably not what you were expecting to hear. Again, we don't have one magic bullet that will actually protect your skin from anti-aging, but this is going to be your best defense. And it should definitely be at the top of your list for the products that you're using. Now, ladies, let's talk about, we know that the cost of skincare can be expensive, especially if people are on a regular routine using the professional products that are recommended. But let's talk about how SPF is probably one of your cheapest products and cheapest things that you can do for your skin, right?
I just have to say that it's always blown my mind that I used to use expensive products and then walk out of the house with no sunscreen on. Like it just blows my mind now.
Or expensive treatments,
or
like chemicals, and for my dark spots and freckles, and only to go into the sun and just bring them right back up. Like how much money?
Right?
Anyway, it's just going right back into the sun and damaging all the windows.
Yeah. My mother-in-law, Granny, she went and got a deep chemical pill and was hanging out in the swimming pool with us that same day. And she's like, I think something's wrong. I'm burning. And it was probably when I started realizing, like, oh, that doesn't make any sense to do all that work to get rid of sun damage, to get rid of aging, and then we're out in the sun and cooking in it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. No, that doesn't make any sense. So that's kind of like we think that we're doing treatments that are going to help protect our skin and we should be okay out in the sun. But somebody didn't tell her that after a peel, you can't go out in the sun like that, right?
I'm pretty sure she's like many of us, she did.
Yeah.
But we we listened to what we wanted.
Yes,
Yes.
for sure. Yep.
Yeah, but securing your investment, if you want a way to secure your investment, if you're getting lasers and chemical peels and all of these things that are trying to keep your skin youthful, then SPF is going to be the icing on the cake that is absolutely necessary.
Yes.
There's no reason to do the other things if you're not going to do SPF as well.
Yeah. Now let's talk a little bit about why the ingredients matter and why the formulations matter and why you matter, the client. Like, we're talking about sensitivities, skin sensitivities and preferences. We just talked about the feeling of the SPF, but why is it important that, not all SPFs are going to be created equally?
So like Delia was just talking about an SPF that she didn't quite enjoy, that was maybe thick or messy. That's my SPF. That's the SPF that I love. I like a thick SPF that's water resistant, that gives me a really glowy, dewy look, and other people don't like that. And that's why we try to have several different sunscreens that we carry to cater to everybody's different preferences. Some people are more sensitive to certain products and some people aren't. Some people, are going to be looking for certain ingredients that they're going to be worrying about. But the thing about that is we're worrying about these specific ingredients that they're talking about taking out of sunscreens because they're potentially causing cancer. But these studies aren't completely fulfilled. We don't know exactly, but what we know for sure is that the sun absolutely causes cancer.
Right.
And when we're trying to take these specific, so I believe there was one that it was a stabilizer for a sunscreen for the water resistance, and the stabilizer in it people are worrying about, and the studies were is that they were putting it on every 2 hours from head to toe, a really thick amount, every hour from head to toe, a really thick amount, and they were noticing that they were finding traces of it in the blood system. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be detrimental or cancer causing. And who's putting sunscreen on from head to toe every single hour?
Right.
But what we absolutely know is that skin cancer is huge. And if you get skin cancer on your face, like, not only are you going to have to treat the skin cancer, but depending on the depth of it, you might have a huge scar, or the removal process can be really emotional for a lot of people.
Right.
So finding sunscreen that works for you, because
wear.
that's the most important part. The best sunscreen on the market is going to be the one that you're going to wear.
Right.
And we've got lots of options for that, whether you want samples so we can try them, because everybody's going to have something that they like specifically.
For sure. Yeah, it's personal preference. One of the other pieces to that, so not only do we want to protect our skin with SPF, but you can also help support that protection by covering up with clothing, hats, sunglasses, and seeking shade during those
UV protected hats.
Yes,
UV protected hats, and seeking shade during peak sun hours. I mean, you're still going to be getting sun regardless of whether you're in the shade or not. So now, as far as application, I know that there's some different information out there as far as how we should be applying. And a lot of times there's areas that people are forgetting. And so, Amelia, I think you talked about this. We were talking about this earlier, where, not just applying and letting and pulling it all down your neck and décolleté. How are you supposed to apply sunscreen?
I'm putting the application amount on each area. So I've got an application amount for my face, and then I'm going to reapply for my neck. I'm going to reapply for my chest, and it's quite a bit that we're using. You're getting a full coverage amount. And so we're going to also do the same things to our hands and arms if they're going to have any sun exposure. But one thing I wanted to kind of jump on that we were talking about a second ago with the ingredient decks. If you're worried about one specific ingredient in a product, and you're just going to find a product that doesn't have that one ingredient, and you're not looking at all of the other ingredients in that product just because you're trying to avoid this one, you could be introducing pore cloggers and irritants, and then you're not going to be wearing that sunscreen because it's bothering your skin.
Right. It's irritating, and it's breaking you out.
Yes. And there's certain ingredients that we look for specifically. And that's why people come to us at Clear Skin Solutions, because that's what we do. We check all of the products and we make sure that it's not going to have any of the things that you're trying to stay away from.
And don't you hear a lot of clients, they say, I don't wear sunscreen, it always broke me out.
Yes.
Yeah. That's because the ingredients were wrong.
That's because I had coconut oil in it.
Some shea butter,
Yes.
some algae.
Yes.
So while we're saying the best sunscreen you can wear is the one that you will wear, we still have to be conscious of, maybe if you're trying to avoid one ingredient, you might not realize that something else is actually causing some issues with your skin, right? Okay, Amelia, let's talk about, we talked about covering the face, chest, ears, etc., and not pulling the sunscreen down. We want to make sure that we're treating each area separately. What about tattoos? That's a big thing.
Yeah. Don't forget your tattoos. The tattoos, you're going to keep them fresh by putting sunscreen on them, and tattoos are not an area that is not going to get cancer. It's like something that's going to be prevented just because the tattoo is there. You still want to put sunscreen on them, and it keeps them fresh.
All right. So the reason why we wanted to share this podcast is because we have about SPF specifically as your number one defense against anti-aging, is because we see so many people come in who, not necessarily just for anti-aging, but we're reversing acne and other types of skin conditions. But what really ends up happening is we're also reversing that premature aging. So we do see a lot of people that come in that haven't been protecting their skin investment. And again, I think Nikki, you talked about your having a chemical peel and going out into the sun. That's not protecting your investment. So it's really important to prioritize your sun protection and really make it a part of your regular routine, because coming in for treatments, yes, is going to be great for your skin, but if you're not protecting, it's basically going to erase the work that you've already done. And as a result, that just ends up costing you more money. So we want to make sure that, you're enjoying the outdoors. Everybody loves being outdoors. We are not, anti-sun, but
We're not anti-sun.
we're not anti-sun, but we just want to make sure that you're, being responsible and protecting your skin from the damage that we know that it can cause.
Anti-mosquitoes and sun damage.
And have what? Sorry, mojitos and without sun damage?
Mosquitoes and sun damage.
So what are your favorite SPFs, Amelia, that you like?
Okay, so like I was saying, I like mine to be thick. I like it to be water resistant, and the thickness creates a dewiness for me that I think makes it so I can put my makeup on top seamlessly and have it glow without sitting into my fine lines. Now that I'm getting, into my mid-30s, my favorite is called Sol RX. It's matte SPF 50, but it is not matte.
Okay.
It's very glowy.
Very glowy. Okay.
Yeah.
Nikki, what about you?
I'm going to say that I love that one too when traveling and I'm going to be in the sun a lot. That one is also one of my favorites. But every day I use lightly tinted or ultra tinted when I have a little more color. And then the Elta MDs, we have a hard time mentioning brands because the thing is people start thinking that everything from that brand is safe, and it's not.
Right.
There is one sunscreen that they have that is light, and you can reapply it easily if the Solar X or a thicker one is too much.
Okay. Yeah, I love lightly tinted. And
yeah, how about you, Julia?
Yeah, I love my ultra tinted just because I like a little bit extra color, but yeah, it feels smooth going on. I know that my skin's protected, and it gives me that little bit of tint so that I don't have to wear any foundation, because I don't like feeling, especially in the summertime too, right? I don't like feeling all cakey on my face, so it's nice and lightweight. If you are struggling to find a SPF that does work for your skin that you are not feeling comfortable with, then we are here to help you. We do have a whole lineup of SPFs that we can help recommend. So just send us a DM, and one of our skin specialists can help find you the right SPF so that you can keep your skin protected. And I think the moral of the story is, again, 90% of aging comes from overexposure to the sun and unprotected skin. So put that SPF on, ladies and gentlemen, and your skin will thank you. Thank you, ladies, so much for all of your information.
Thank you, Delia.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.